First thing on tonight's just terrible show, MJF versus Kyle Fletcher. MJF gave him a eliminator match opportunity to decide whether or not he could face him for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. This was it was a really good match, but we all knew MJF wasn't going to win, and we all knew what was the main reason why this match was even set up. Don Callis interferes, tries to throw the screwdriver. He throws the screwdriver actually, throw the screwdriver in the ring. Kyle Fletcher picks it up, but he decides not to use it, which ends up costing him the match. MJF ends up going for a low blow, then hits him with the kangaroo kick into a brainbuster and picks up the victory. After the match, he starts attacking Kyle Fletcher. He ends up hitting him with the diamond ring, and then he just constantly bashing his head in with the diamond ring, starting making him bleed. Then he tries to go for the Tiger Driver, but Will Ospreay ends up coming in just in time to make the save. This was overall solid segment, nothing too major. They're building up, slowly building up the eventual Will Ospreay versus MJF brawl. Eventually, that's probably going to happen on like the last week of the Dynamite before All In. Next, we get Mariah May. Mariah May faces a jobber. She picks up the victory. Then we get receiving a gift. She receives a gift that's wrapped up, and then she ends up unwrapping the gift, and it's a giant picture of her and Toni Storm hugging. Of course, she's mocking it. She's making fun of it. But on the back of it, she ends up seeing what it says on the back, and ends up saying that die Mariah die. Then out of nowhere, Toni Storm tries to attack Mariah May. They end up brawling. Toni Storm ended up getting the upper hand, and then she tries to smash her with the shoe like Mariah May did when she officially turned on Toni Storm, but Aubrey Edwards ended up stopping her, and then they end up brawling. Security have to break them up. This was the best thing on the show, the most interesting thing on the show, even though it wasn't anything special, but it was better than what we got for today, because man, this show overall was just not that good, just very lackluster. Nothing of noteworthy really progressed. Nothing really progressed at all. This was just, man, this felt like SmackDown like 2 weeks ago, honestly. This feels like SmackDown 2 to 3 weeks ago. But yeah, nothing really progressed. This show was just not that good. But I enjoyed this second. Next, we end up getting Brian Keith versus Shabata. Shabata ends up picking up the victory via submission, if I'm not mistaken. Then, of course, you already knew Big Bill, Chris Jericho, Brian Keith was going to jump Shabata. They attack him. Then Hook ends up making his return. He ends up making a save. He ends up taking out Big Bill, takes out Chris Jericho. That's the end of the segment there. Hook ends up holding his FTW championship, so eventually we know Hook is probably most likely going to win that championship back. Do any of us really care? Not really, but the sooner he wins that championship, the sooner we get the learning tree off my TV, because this gimmick needs to end. It needs to stop because this gimmick sucks. Nothing. The most entertaining about that gimmick is Brian Keith. Even he has his moments where it's not that entertaining because it's just very forced. Now I get that's part of their gimmick is to be this super force type. I get the gimmick. It's just a stupid gimmick. Like it's just the way it's executed is just stupid. But man, yeah. So eventually, Samoa Joe is probably gonna return next week. Yeah, he's probably gonna return next week. They're probably gonna do the same thing next week to progress the story. Next, we get Orange Cassidy, FTR versus Roderick Strong, Roosh first and Beast. I didn't watch this match because I already knew why this match happened, and it came exactly how I thought it was going to play out. The babyfaces ends up winning, like they, of course. Then the Acclaim come out. That's the whole reason why this match even happened in the first place. The Acclaim come out. FTR gets on the microphone, basically ends up, saying that they respect them, but we just want to fight, so they end up brawling. This was very weird because they brawled for like 5 seconds because security was already out there. This was just weird. I don't know why this segment needs to happen. Also, I don't even know why this feud is happening because this feud doesn't make sense because they're both baby faces. And the reason why they're feuding is just to see who's the real heart and soul of AEW. That's the real reason why they're feuding, which is stupid because they both have the same goal, but they're fighting each other. It's stupid. The Acclaim should be worried about the Young Bucks, and FTR should be worried about the Young Bucks. But for some weird reason, they're worried about each other. This is just stupid. This makes no sense at all. The feud itself is just dumb. I don't care who wins, honestly, because we all know that it doesn't matter until whoever faces the Young Bucks. That's really what matters until one of them dethrones them. So, yeah. This was just stupid. Yeah, because they brawled for like 5 seconds. They didn't brawl for long, so I don't understand why. They should have had this segment be long. This segment should have been longer. I don't know why it was cut so short, but yeah, this should have been longer. But yeah, this was just very meh. Now next, oh my god, man, Mercedes Monet, man. Every week she is just proving more and more of why I never been a Mercedes fan. Why I never been a fan of her. In ring, never take that away from her. But God, man, the promos and the character work. Oh my God, it is so unbearable to listen to. Oh my goodness. Oh man. She basically says nothing. She just trashes Britt Baker. Then Shivani comes out, ends up telling Mercedes that Tony Khan lifted her suspension. Then Britt Baker comes on the Titantron. She basically ends up saying that Mercedes Moné is basically a quitter. She mentions how she didn't mention it by name, but she alluded to it basically. She ends up saying that whenever I do something, I stay committed, but whenever things gets tough for you, you end up running and going home, alluding to what she did in WWE, and then basically ends up saying that basically I'm gonna win at All In. That's it. Cause man, this feud itself is just boring, but man, Mercedes doesn't make it any better. I don't know how this is gonna play out. Most likely, Mercedes is gonna win. That's why she has Camille, most likely, because Camille is probably gonna help her win that match. Um, yeah, I don't really care for this feud. I'm happy Britt Baker is back, but man, this show is just bad. This show is just terrible. Next, we get Swerve Strickland, Bryan Danielson. Swerve Strickland basically cut a very basic promo, and I don't know what they're doing. It's like they're trying to do this thing where it's very weird what they're doing with Swerve. They're trying to do this thing where Swerve is a heel, but he's also a baby face. He ends up saying that it's going to be great to retire Bryan Danielson. Ends up mentioning that since you got a sparring partner for tonight's show and Jeff Jarrett, I'm going to need a sparring partner. And he wants to challenge Willa Yuta to show how dangerous he really is, and that's it. I don't know what they're doing with Swerve because they're doing this weird thing where he constantly taunts and talk trash to Danielson, but he also respects him, and it's weird. One moment he'll trash Bryan Danielson, and then soon after he'll give him like a compliment. It's very weird. Like it's like they want him to be a heel, but they're also treating him like a baby face. It kind of doesn't make sense. You need to go all in, or like you need to make him all heel or all babyface. Like they're trying to do this thing where he's more of a tweener right now, which is kind of what Swerve Strickland character is. But I feel like in this scenario, you kind of need to make Bryan Danielson the overall babyface that way, because this is most likely his last match. So you need to make him the clear cut babyface in this scenario. But yeah, overall this show was just god awful. Nothing progressed. Very boring, dull. Yeah, this was just bad. This was just a bad show. Nothing progressed. Every segment felt very flat. MJF and Kyle Fletcher was arguably the best thing on the show, and it was a good match. But even that was kind of I was not really paying too much attention to because I already knew what was going to happen, and plus, I kind of already knew we already knew how it was going to play out. But this overall show was just bad. This might be one of my shorter reviews on my channel probably, because this show, yeah, nothing really happened that was that interesting, that is really noteworthy. But you guys let me know your opinions down below. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. But yeah, that's it.